Hey everyone, you're watching Rooted and Rising, and we are here having honest conversations about aging, healing, and everything in between. So let's get into it. Here's a question for my Gen Xers. Have we raised a bunch of softies? And I'm talking about our children. It seems like they're just a different breed than we were, right? You remember the term latchkey kids? That was us, the Gen Xers. We would come home from school with our little key around our neck. We would go into the house, make ourselves a little snack, do our homework, go outside and play, run in, do the dishes, and then mom and dad would come home. Basically, we were self-sufficient and we knew the rules. It wasn't any deterrent from the rules. We would go outside on a Saturday morning and we wouldn't come back in until the lights were on the street. Basically, we were able to kind of design our whole day without any computers, without any smartphones. Now it's a little bit different, and I'm not sure what happened. We kind of raised our children in a society where everybody wins and everybody is going to be nice to each other. And I think it's been a little bit rough because now we're wondering as Gen Xers, gosh, what's going on with these kids? They need us more than ever. Can they go out and do things for themselves? So we have to think for them all the time. That seems to be kind of the vibe. When I talk to my clients, they say the same things. When I talk to my friends, they all say, what's going on with these kids? They don't seem to have the independence that we had when we were growing up. There was a sense of order, a sense of common sense. I think when we raised our children, it just kind of left. It seems like they have trouble thinking for themselves now. Suddenly the schools went from, you're going to follow our rules or else. I do remember when we used to get smacked on the hand when the ruler was in place. And now, no corporal punishment. I have no issues with that. However, now the school system, the children are typically, everybody's a winner. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I think it's great that we all can just be unanimous and in harmony and everybody's a winner. But I think sometimes when you get out in the real world, it's not really like that, is it? Not everybody is a winner. You're singled out, or you might be mistreated, and you might be discriminated against. And I think it's important to know how to handle yourself. So who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for these softies that we've raised? They tell me now when I talk to young adults that are, the 20-somethings, they're saying that they have it harder than we ever had. I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think that's true or not? I know the job market is difficult now. I know it's hard to get a job. I know it's difficult to move out because prices are high. But in terms of being difficult, I don't know. We were kind of out and making our own decisions out there in the world, and the parents were pretty much, you're going to go for it. Remember the rules. Remember what you need to do. Use your common sense. And that was it. There was no turning back. When I left the house for college, I couldn't go back home. My mom had moved. She moved to another state. So it wasn't, okay, I can go back home. It was, you're going to find a job. You're going to find 2 jobs. You're going to work. You're going to find you a place to stay. Even if you have roommates to stay with, you're going to make this work and figure it out. And there was a lot of figuring out. I think now with our children, we are doing a lot of the figuring out, and maybe it's partly because the world's changing. The world's maybe a little bit more unsafer. And we might feel more protective of our children. Maybe it's because for some of us, we went through a hard time when we were growing up. And so we feel like, we don't want our children to have that hard of a time. So we're going to make sure that things are in place for them so that they don't have to work as hard or deal with the stress that we dealt with. But I think also with that, as we have taken on that responsibility for them, that we've given up some of that too. I think sometimes their sense of independence is missing. I think also the ability to make those types of decisions gets kind of left. I've known people that their children are not able to. They don't know how to open up a bank account. They don't know how to, pay a bill. There's some that are afraid to make phone calls. Everything has to be kind of on the phone through text, and just kind of having those connections, it's just not there. So there's a give and take. So I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. But dating is so weird, like the terminologies. My daughter was telling me about the term we are exclusive. What the heck does that mean, to be exclusive? You go from talking, I remember that, you meet somebody, we're talking, okay, and then you're somebody's girlfriend or boyfriend after that, right? Now it's we're talking, and then we're exclusive. What does that mean, exclusive? After exclusive, it's we are an item, and then we're a boyfriend and girlfriend, and it's just so many levels, right? And I asked her, how does everybody know these different levels? How do they know where they are? It's just confusing. It's confusing for them in the dating world. I don't know. Can you explain that? Have you come across that with your young adults? All the terminology and everything that they're doing out there, it's just a lot of padded extra stuff, It's just not simple anymore. It's very complicated. It's just interesting. It's interesting to see what they're going through, what they're dealing with. But one thing I have noticed is that more young adults are reaching out for help, that they don't have any issue telling somebody that they need a mental health day. When we were growing up, when we were in the workforce, there was no mental health days. No one knew what that was, a mental health day. No, you're going to come to work, and that's that. And if you're stressed out, you're going to deal with that stress. Hey, it's a part of life. Suck it up, right? That's what we had to deal with coming up. Now, for them, it's I need to take care of myself. I need to take care of my emotions. And guess what? You all are going to have to understand that and respect that. They have very clear lines when it comes to that. And you can appreciate that. I've seen more men come into therapy, and more young adults are not shy with saying that they need therapy. They need to talk to someone for their emotional well-being. So I think with our children, they're becoming more well-rounded with their emotions. You're starting to see more young men that are able to talk about their emotions more. It's not just, suck it up and deal with it as a man. It's being more vulnerable. And I think that's a good thing. I really do. But with that, again, there's sometimes there's a bit of confusion because you don't know what to make of it. You don't know why they're so delicate sometimes. Sometimes I want to tell my kids, can you just suck it up? It's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. Life happens. But, this is the way things are. So what about you? Do you have some young adults that confuse you sometimes with the terminology and confuse you sometimes with like what's going on in their life, and you're not quite sure if they're going to survive this? And do you have a story to share about how you were growing up as a Gen Xer and what that meant for you? Share it in the comments below. And if you like what you hear today, then don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.